to show off this picture because I was the one that taught both of them how to crochet. They didn't know how to crochet before they met me. And you see them wearing the crochet sweaters that they made for themselves. So yeah, that makes me so happy. Here is one of my students who had never crocheted before she met me, but she made the sweater in 4 weeks only. I'm so proud of her. But I want to ask you, is there anyone here who has ever crocheted a piece of clothing? Type in the chat, let me see. Oh, it says, looks like we cannot see. Strange. Let me see what is happening. Can you see my screen now? Okay, I'm just going to go back, right? Okay, I've gone back so you can see now. Okay, yes, yeah, it's working now. So yeah, like I said, I've successfully taught over 700 crocheters how to crochet beautiful clothes that they can wear using the same process you'll be learning in today's masterclass. So you definitely want to pay attention. The two ladies standing beside me here, like I said, they didn't know how to crochet before they met me, but they were able to crochet this sweater. The sweater that they are both wearing, they made it themselves, and they only learned after they met me using the same process I'll be teaching you today. So definitely pay attention. Here is one of my students, Vikram. Look at this sweater. She made it last year. It was around this period where she met me, and she made this sweater in November in just 4 weeks. She had no crochet background before she met me. But yeah, if you're on this live chat, let me know. Have you ever crocheted a piece of clothing? Just type yes. Okay, T says yes. I've crocheted a cardigan before using a pattern. Abiodun says yes. Abigail says yes. Okay, great. I love to see it. Yes. Okay, Zizi says no. Vera says no. Okay, Dan says yes. I love it. I love it. It works. Whether you've crocheted before or not, this masterclass is perfect for you. I can guarantee that you'll be learning something new. But why is it important to you to be able to crochet beautiful clothes? Why would you love to be able to crochet beautiful clothes? Is it because you want to make things for yourself, or you want to make things for your family, or maybe you want to sell your crochet pieces? Why would you love to be able to crochet beautiful clothes? Why is it important to you? For me, I love to be able to crochet clothes for myself though. That's my number one reason. Abigail says for herself and for selling. Okay. This is Zumi says to wear and sell first for myself before business. To make for myself, family, and also run as business. Okay. Me said, okay, I love it. Oh, show my talent. I love that, Rosie. I love to show off too. I love to show up. Okay, great. As everyone say they want to learn for themselves and for their businesses. That is all good. Those are some reasons why I crochet. Okay. This is what we're going to be covering today. We've gone through a mini introduction. Then I'm going to introduce myself to you. I'll tell you my story, why I got into crocheting clothes. Then I'm going to teach you how you can begin crocheting beautiful clothes immediately after this masterclass. Then I'm going to give you a special invitation to join my yearly crochet along, okay? This is me, Kauthar. I'm a Nigerian. I currently live in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I'm like most of you. I learned how to crochet in 2006, but I could not crochet clothes until 2017. Like it took me 11 years to learn how to crochet clothes. I'm 28 years old. I run online businesses. So I work from home, but I have a lot of businesses. So I don't have all the time in the world to crochet. Okay, crochet is not the only thing I do. But I'm just like you again. I know that majority of the people here, they are women. Maybe you're a wife, maybe you're a mom, or maybe you're a student, but I have mainly women here in this room. And there was a time where I did not know how to crochet clothes. There was a time when, but now I have boxes full of crochet clothes, you guys. The number of crochet clothes I have is actually wild. You're going to see some of them later in this class. And yeah, to answer the first question I asked you, I've crocheted so many clothing items. I've made items for myself, and I also make crochet items for sale. And you can see here, this is a few my crochet clothes, very few. This isn't everything. This is just some. Excuse me, I'm going to mute some people because I can hear some people talking. Please mute yourself, please. Okay, I think we're good there. All right, we're good there. So yeah, these are just a few of the crochet clothes I've made for myself. I love crocheting clothes for myself. I love to wear them out. I love when people are staring and complimenting and like, wow, I love what you're wearing. So these are just few of my crochet clothes. This is the reason why I got into crocheting clothes. You guys, when I learned how to crochet, I did not learn anything about crocheting clothes. I only saw people making hats. I saw people making purses and scrunchies. But when excuse me, I'm going to mute. So when I came online, I brought my crochet online. That's when people started showing me. People would send me pictures of crochet clothes and they'll be like, can you make this for me? That was when I started to realize that, oh, you can actually crochet clothes. But before then, I did not know anything about crochet clothes. So I started researching, checking YouTube, checking the internet. And I'm like, wow, look at all of these beautiful clothes. That just got me interested. Like, I would really love to be able to do this. So I decided to try. And my first attempt at making a crochet clothing was in 2017. That was 11 years after I learned how to crochet, but I tried. It was a big fail. My first attempt at crocheting clothes was a very big fail. But I continued to practice and I was able to nail it, because if I did not nail it, I wouldn't even have this many crochet clothes, okay? But I nailed it, and I'm going to be teaching you my process in this video. This same process, I've used it and I've also taught other people. But let me shock you. The reason why most people do not crochet clothes is because they do not want to try. Like, they are afraid. They don't want to make mistakes. They are afraid and they're like, I'm just not going to try this. But that's not a good way to approach it. I don't know. I'm trying to mute everyone. Let me just see. I am trying to mute everyone. I don't know. Please just mute yourselves, please, because like you're disturbing others because there's background noise coming. Please, everyone mute yourselves. Okay, so if you don't try, you will never know. That is the truth. If you do not try, you will never know. And mistakes are not the end. Like, I understand that most people don't want to make mistakes. I think, please hold. Let me try to, I want to try to mute everyone. So I'm going to stop sharing for now so that I can mute everyone. I don't know. You guys, I'm sorry. Like, I have a new computer and I just don't know. But everyone just mute yourselves, please. I'm really, I don't know how to do it on this computer. I don't. I don't know, but please, everyone, just mute yourself because the noise from your end is affecting everybody. Please, the noise from your end is affecting. Just mute. Okay, I think that I'm good on that, and I'm going to resume sharing. Okay, so like I was saying, if you don't try to do something, you will never know whether you can do it or whether you cannot do it. And even when you make mistakes, the world is not going to end. Nothing bad will happen if you make a mistake. Like, it's not a big deal. If you make a mistake, you just undo it and fix your mistake, okay? And then if you don't try, you cannot even ask for help because you don't know what kind of help you want to ask somebody for. So get this right now. The biggest reason is not that you don't know, it's just that you are not willing to try. That is the biggest reason why most crocheters don't know how to crochet clothes, okay? But this is it. I want you to promise yourself something right now. In this masterclass, I'm going to be teaching you how to crochet beautiful clothes that you can wear. So I need you to make a promise to yourself that you would practice everything you learn in this masterclass, because if you don't practice, then no learning has really occurred, okay? So type this in the chat. I will get on my crochet clothing project right after this masterclass. If you want to make that promise to yourself, just type this in the chat. I will get on my crochet clothing project right after this masterclass. Type that in. Type that in. If you are going to be working on your crochet project, make that promise to yourself. Say, I am going to get on my crochet clothing project right after this masterclass. Make that promise to yourself. Yeah, I love to see it. That is the secret. I'm not going to lie to you. I made so many clothes, and the secret is just getting on it. And I'm going to make you this promise. If you get on your crochet clothing project and you get stuck, I will be there to guide you. Literally, all you need to do is tell me, I'm working on this project and I'm stuck here, and I'm going to help you out in any way you need to. People talking. Okay, so my promise to you is that if you get on your project and you are stuck, I'm going to be there to guide you. Just write to me within 72 hours. No matter what issue you're facing, I'm going to be there to solve it for you, because I know that you've taken your promise seriously, and I'm going to also support you in making sure that you have your crochet clothes ready. Now, let us just get into this step-by-step process. You can use this process to make any clothing piece. It will never fail you. Like, I showed you guys some of the pieces I've made so that you know that you're listening to, so that you know that the person talking has experience. Like, the clothes I showed you, that's not all. That's not even half of my crochet clothes, really. It's just a few. Let me say maybe a quarter of all the crochet clothes I have. So you definitely want to take notes while I explain the step-by-step process to you. So these are the steps. There are 5 steps. You first make a decision, then you find patterns, you sketch, you do a swatch, and you start your project. I'm going to be explaining to you all of these steps, so you don't have to worry at all. The first step, making that decision. Like, I've spoken to so many crocheters, because like I teach crochet, I have so many students, and I know what crocheters struggle with. I wouldn't have believed it if somebody said, oh, I'm not crocheting because I don't know what to make. But a lot of people tell me that. They say I've not practiced because I don't know what I'm supposed to make. And that's why I included this step. You have to decide on what to make, and you have to be clear on what it is. Okay, if you don't make the decision, you cannot even get started. Okay, it is number 1. If you have a lot of projects that you like to make, you literally just choose one. Let's say you'd like to make 10 different projects. Obviously, you cannot make 10 projects at the same time. So just choose one. When you finish that one, you can make another one later. Okay, it's not as if you choose one project, you will never be able to work on another project anymore. Okay, so choose one project, and then when you're done, you go on to the next project and you work on it like that. But I have some tips for you to help you choose what project to work on. Think about this. Is there an event coming up that you would love to wear your crochet piece to? You know, maybe if you have a wedding to attend, you can decide to crochet a shawl or a dress that you wear for the wedding. If you work a 9 to 5, seeing how the cold season is approaching, you can decide to crochet sweaters that you're going to be wearing into work. You know, that's a plan. If you have any loved ones celebrating something, you can decide to crochet a project for them. I usually crochet pieces for my son. I make pieces for my husband too. In fact, I have a friend who is getting married soon, and I want to gift them a crochet piece. You know, obviously, that's just an indication that this is the project I need to work on now. Then another way you can choose, let's say the first 2 does not apply to you. You can think whether there's a crochet clothing item you've been wanting to add to your wardrobe. You know, maybe you've been like, oh, I really need a black dress in my wardrobe. I don't know how it is that I don't have a black dress. That can be a sign for you to crochet a black dress for yourself, because your wardrobe needs a black dress. Okay, so these are some things you can look at before deciding on what projects to work on, you know. And let's say you answered yes, you know, I gave you 3 pointers. If you answered yes to all 3 of them, just look at the one that is urgent and start with that. So like I said, I have a friend who's getting married next week. So even if I have a lot of crochet projects to work on, I'm basically going to work on my friend's project first, because my friend is getting married. And, you know, like, there's a timeline for that. I need to do it ASAP so that I'm able to present it. Do you understand? So you want to look at the urgency. If you have different projects, look at which one do I need first and choose that as your first project to work on. Now, once you decide what piece you want to make, The next thing is to look for crochet patterns. All right. The steps I'm explaining to you today, there are steps that even a beginner can follow. Okay, that's why, like, there are different ways of doing things, but I've gone to look for the easiest way that a beginner would also be able to follow. Okay, so just stay with me. The next thing, when you decide, let's say you decide you want to make that black dress for yourself, the next thing now is you want to go start looking for crochet dress patterns, because the pattern would have instructions that you can follow to make the piece. Okay, most people, when they are working with crochet patterns, they make some mistakes, so their piece doesn't come out right. But because you're here, you're going to be learning from me, and you'll be avoiding the mistakes that most crocheters make. Okay, like I've said, if you're new to the world of crocheting clothes, working with patterns is your best bet, because the pattern is going to guide you as to how you're going to make the piece. You can look for patterns on Instagram, on YouTube, on Pinterest, or you can just do a Google search. Like, you just go to, Google, www.google.com, and say, oh, I need a pattern for a dress. Okay, you're just going to search that way on all of those different platforms. Now, I should say you're going to find free crochet patterns and paid crochet patterns, because some crocheters, that's their way of making money. Like, their source of income is selling patterns. So not everyone offers free patterns, but you are definitely going to find free patterns and paid patterns. But the thing is, when people create their own designs, everybody is going to create something that they like. So if I have a dress pattern, you might not like that dress pattern, and you like a dress pattern. Excuse me, I don't know.
They sleep, yeah.
But I'll keep doing it one after the other. So yeah, you're going to see different styles. When you type dress, obviously, if you want to buy a dress, you're going to see different styles of dress. You're going to see short dresses, long dresses, sleeveless dresses, round neck, V-neck. That's how it is with crochet patterns too. If you're searching for a dress pattern, you're going to see different styles of dresses. So it is up to you to just choose the dress that appeals the most to you. Let's say you see a round neck and a V-neck dress, and you know that you like V-necks. Obviously, you're going to go for the V-neck dress pattern, because that is what you like, and that is okay. I'm going to be completely honest. It might sometimes take a while before you find a pattern. Like, you might just not like all the patterns you're seeing, but the more you search, the more patterns you're going to see. Like, full transparency, currently I don't work with crochet patterns anymore, but I write patterns now for people to follow. Back when I used to work with patterns, like, I'll spend days looking for patterns. And do you know what that did for me? It helped me find unique patterns, like real unique patterns that people just don't believe that I use the pattern for it, because they're like, I can't find this pattern. So when you are looking for patterns, be patient. Okay, be patient so that you can find the gems. And then another thing you can do is, let's say you're just scrolling through Instagram and you see a crochet pattern. Even if you're not ready to make that piece, you can save the pattern for later. So if you save the pattern, whenever you want to now make that piece, you can just reference that pattern in future. Okay, that's something you can do as well. This is one of my own patterns. Like I said, I now write patterns that other crocheters can follow. So when you see a pattern, you're going to see a picture, so the picture in front of the pattern just shows you what that pattern would look like, what your piece would look like if you follow the pattern. Do you get what I mean? So always look out for that. If you see a pattern like this, it means that if you follow the pattern, you would have a V-neck sweater just like this. Okay, please don't get it twisted. Your piece is supposed to look like what you have, the picture you have in front of the pattern. So for example, let me just say, if you want to make a sweater and you don't want a V-neck sweater, it obviously means that you should not work with this pattern, right? Because like I said, the pattern will provide instructions on how to make the piece that you see on the picture. So if you don't like the piece in the picture, then you should not be working with that pattern. You get it? So yeah, that is that on looking for patterns. Like I've said, there are a lot of people make mistakes. A lot of crocheters make mistakes when working with patterns, but because you are in this class, you're going to be avoiding those mistakes. Okay, so when you see the pattern that you like, oh, I like this pattern, I would love to work with it, the first thing you must do is to read through the pattern. So when you see a pattern, you don't just get your hook and start crocheting immediately. No, you're just going to read through the pattern to see what the instructions are like, because you want to be sure whether you can do everything or whether you cannot. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, because there are so many patterns out there. the patterns are usually written for different skill levels. Some crochet patterns are beginner level. Some crochet patterns are for advanced crocheter. And obviously, if you're new to the world of crochet, it's not really going to be easy for you to work with an advanced pattern. You know, it's why when we start school, we don't start school from 100 level university. We start school from primary. We start school from primary because it is expected that as a child, you obviously cannot know what the university students are learning. So you need to start from, the basics. So it's also the same with crochet. You need to start from easy projects and you work your way up. So when you read through the pattern at the beginning, you're going to be able to see if this pattern suits your current skill level. If you're seeing a new technique in the pattern that you've not done before, you can do a quick YouTube search, a quick Google search to see if there's an explanation for that technique. But if you read through and you feel like this pattern is so advanced for me, I don't think I would be able to follow along, please look for another pattern. Because let me tell you, the one thing that can quickly kill your crochet ginger is when you are stuck in the middle of a piece. Like, you're going to feel so discouraged, and I do not want you to get stuck on that your first project, because you're just not going to be encouraged. But if you take your first project and you finish it, it's lovely, everybody's complimenting you, see, you're going to be so proud, and you're going to start looking for new projects to work on because your first project was a success. This is why it is important for you to read through the pattern before you start crocheting. Obviously, the more you crochet, the better you're going to get. So even that advanced pattern that you could not work with, you're going to eventually be able to work with it as you grow in your crochet journey. Okay, it is important for you to finish the project. So choose a pattern that suits your current skill level. Now, when you open a pattern, right, there's usually called schematic, which is this image you see on the left. This is a schematic from one of my own patterns, and this is just a sketch. It shows you what your crochet panels are supposed to look like. I believe that all patterns have this, but I cannot say for sure because I didn't write all patterns, but crochet patterns should have this schematic because it is going to guide you. You can see from here, I have back panel, front panel, and the sleeve. You know that, okay, this is what I'm going to be crocheting. I'm going to be crocheting a back panel, a front panel, and a sleeve. Okay, so when you see the schematic in the crochet pattern, just get a notepad, get a pen, and draw out the schematic in your book, or you print out the schematic, because you are going to label it with your measurements. And obviously, you cannot label it on the screen. It's not going to be easy for you to do that. So either print out the schematic or you draw it out so that you can label it with your own measurements. Please do not miss this step. Understand everything I'm saying, you guys. Everybody works with crochet patterns. A lot of crocheters work with crochet patterns, but the difference between somebody that is going to be able to do it successfully and somebody that would work with a crochet pattern and fail is that they are not following the steps. I see some messages. I cannot hear the audio. Please, is there anyone else who cannot hear the audio? I need to know. Somebody has said they cannot hear the audio. Please type in the chat. Can you hear me? Please type in the chat. Can you hear me? I've said a lot of things and it's just going to be a bummer if you've not been hearing me. Yes, we can, loud and clear. Okay, great. Okay, great. I'm happy you can hear me. Okay, I'm going to continue now. Right. So you know that we as women, we have different sizes. I'm sure some of you can see me right now. And I know that you might be feeling like, oh, Kauthar is fatter than I am. Oh, I'm not as fat as Kauthar. We women, we have different sizes. Okay. This is why you need to take into consideration the measurements of the person that would wear the clothes. When you draw out the sketch in your notepad, you're going to label it with measurements. You're going to put your own measurements if the cloth is for you. And if the cloth is not for you, you put in the measurement of the owner. Okay, this is a step that you should not miss, because if you don't put measurements, you are not going to know when you have the right size, because you didn't even know the size you were working with initially. You get me? So sketching is important because the sketch is going to guide you when you're crocheting, right? When you see a sketch that is a rectangle, it means that your crochet fabric should also be a rectangle. Now, if you have a rectangular sketch and your crochet fabric is looking like a trapezium, you know that something is wrong automatically. That's how your sketch is going to help. Also, because you've labeled your sketch with measurements, you can always cross-check the measurement of your crochet fabric with the measurements that you've written down in your sketch. If on your sketch you wrote down 20 inches, then you measure your crochet fabric and you're saying 25 inches, you know that something is wrong, okay? That's how your sketch is going to guide you when you start crocheting. So your sketch should always be beside you when you are crocheting so that you can always compare your crochet fabric to what you have on your sketch. Once it doesn't look the same, once it doesn't measure the same, you know there's a problem and you want to fix that problem. When you have your sketch done, the next thing is for you to make a swatch, and a lot of crocheters run away from making a swatch. To be honest, I run away from making swatches sometimes, but you know what? If you don't make a swatch, you are going to be like 50 rows in and you are realizing that, God, what's happening? This project is not supposed to be this measurements. God, I don't like this project. Why is it so thick? Why is it not thick enough? Then you have to frog everything. The time you spent to do that one that was a mistake, you could have spent that time to make a swatch so that the swatch is going to inform your decisions. Okay, this crochet fabric on the left, this is what a swatch looks like. It's just a small sample size of your project. So when you do a swatch now, you can look at the swatch and see, oh, do I like how thick it is? Do I want it to be thicker? Do I like the holes there? Or maybe you don't want a project that has holes and you're saying now that this your swatch, there are holes on the swatch. It means that you don't want to proceed with this. Okay, that is what your swatch does for you. It lets you see what your finished piece would look like so you can decide. Before you go too far, you can decide whether you like it or you don't like it. Okay, it's not like when you finish the project, that's when you'll be saying, God, I wish I didn't use this stitch. Oh God, I wish I didn't use this color. No, it is if you've done the swatch, it is from the swatch stage that you would have realized that I did not really like this. Okay, Munira still says she cannot hear me, but I see Okoyemi tell her to check her connection. Please, okay, I'm going to be checking the chat at intervals so that if something is wrong, I can, get it quickly. So yeah, it is important for you to make a swatch, and it's very easy. Just when when you're working with a pattern, so the pattern would have stitch instruction. So just look at the stitch instruction and follow that to do a swatch. However, when you look at the stitch instruction, if they say chain 105, because you want to do a swatch, you wouldn't chain 105. You just chain maybe 20 or 25 because the swatch is a small size. The swatch is a small size as you see here. So just chain like 25 and do like 10 rows. It's just for you to get a vibe of the project, okay? Also, your swatch is how you're going to know the number of stitches you need for your project, right? Your swatch will also let you see whether you like that yarn or whether you feel like the yarn is too thick. When you look at your swatch, you're going to be able to decide whether you want to change the yarn or you like the yarn, okay? Now, these are important things to note about doing a swatch. If you don't like your first swatch, you have to make another swatch. Let's say when you did a swatch, Nigeria is a hot country generally. If you're looking at making a crochet fabric that is not too thick and you've done a swatch, you feel like, oh my God, this swatch is too thick. I don't think I want my fabric to be this thick. That's fine. It means that you want to do a new swatch, okay? Maybe now you're using another type of yarn that is not as thick as the yarn you used before. But basically, if you don't like anything about your swatch, you do a new swatch by changing things up. If you realize that, oh God, the holes in this swatch is too much, I don't want my project to have holes, then it means you want to look for another stitch that does not have holes, okay? You want to look for another pattern. That's the whole aim of doing a swatch. It helps you see what the outcome is going to be like so that you can decide whether you like it or not, right? So when you do your swatch, you're going to use the same thing you use for your swatch for your project. If you use the 4mm hook for your swatch, you're going to use a 4mm hook for your project. If you use AA extra for your swatch, you're going to use AA extra for your projects. I mean, the same yarn you use for your swatch is the same yarn you would use for your project, okay? Now, when your swatch is done, you are finally ready to start your project. You guys, like, I'm emphasizing on this because when most crocheters want to crochet and they look for a pattern, they just dive into the pattern. They don't do steps number 1 to 4. And steps number 1 to 4 make all the difference. Crocheting takes so long. Like like honestly, you guys, like you can spend 20 hours making one crochet clothing project. I don't think that it is okay for you to spend 20 hours doing something and at the end you cannot use that thing. I think it is a big waste of time, which is why you need to take the extra 30 minutes before you begin to do steps number 1 to 4, because steps number 1 to 4 guarantee that you are going to end up with a project that you will be in love with. Okay, it is totally worth it. And you skipping steps number 1 to 4, honestly, it can just bring down your morale, because you're realizing that, God, I spent so long on this piece, I can't believe that I cannot even wear it. Okay, do not skip steps number 1 to 4. Don't start from number 5. If you just pick up a hook because you have a pattern and you're starting the project, you have already missed it. I'm sorry. Okay, once your swatch is perfect, see what I said, once your swatch is perfect, that means if you did the swatch and you didn't like the swatch, it is not time to start the project. You need to do another swatch. You're going to start your project when you love the swatch, because if you don't love the swatch, you will not love the project. Okay. So once your swatch is perfect, that is when you're going to start your project. Another thing you want to do is, you know that you are working with a pattern. If you've never worked with a crochet pattern, you might not know, but crochet patterns would usually say do a chain of 200, do a chain of 150, but you are not going to work the number of chains in the pattern. Okay, because I don't have the same measurements with you. If I write a pattern, well, I won't, but if I write a pattern and I say chain 200, it is possible that chain 200 is what I need for my size. Because you are not my own size, chain 200 might not work for you. Do you understand that? I need you to actually type in the chat. Do you understand that my size is different from your size? Yes or no? Do you think everybody in this life were the same size? I need to see in the chat. Yes or no? Is everybody in the world the same size? Yes, no, no, we are not the same size. My size is not your size. So if a pattern says chain 200, you are not just going to chain 200. Okay, I'm going to tell you what to do instead, but I want you to understand that you do not just chain 200 because the pattern said chain 200. Okay, you're going to use your swatch to determine the stitch count you need to arrive at your own desired measurements. You guys, a side note, I'm realizing that the participants, like, it's just been between 45 to 55 since I started. Like, I'm very happy that a lot of the participants that joined this training, you're still here. Honestly, it makes me so proud and very happy. I really appreciate it. And I hope you're getting value. Please type in the chat. Let me know if you're getting value. I'm sorry. Are you guys getting value from everything I've been teaching? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you. I love to see it. Let me just proceed. Okay. So you're going to use your swatch to determine the number of stitches that will make your own measurements. That's why it was important for you to write your measurements in your swatch. Because if you didn't write your measurements in your swatch, like you're just going to be working with the pattern writer's measurements, which will not be your own. Okay. So this is the formula you are going to use. I know that a lot of you don't like mathematics, but this is very easy and I've broken it down. When you do a swatch, you're going to first measure your swatch. Now see what I wrote down here. If 20 stitches is 5 inches, this one, I got it from my swatch. Like, you measure your swatch, depending on the number of stitches you have in your swatch, that's how you're going to write down this first line. So with this, I'm assuming that I did a swatch that has 20 stitches, and the 20 stitches, when I measured it, it gave me 5 inches. You are going to count the stitches in your swatch and you are going to measure your swatch. These 20 stitches and these 5 inches, it is not constant. It's going to be whatever stitch count you have in your swatch and whatever measurements you got when you measured your swatch. Okay, so you write that down. You can say I said this is gotten from your swatch. Then you're going to say X equals 25 inches. This X is the number of stitches that you want to have in your project. Obviously, you don't know the number of stitches you want to have in your project yet, but you know what you want your project to measure because you know your measurements, or you know the measurements of the owner of the piece. So that measurement is what you're going to have here. So what this equation simply means is that we're trying to find out the number of stitches that would make up our desired measurements. That's simply what this equation means. We know we have counted the stitches in our swatch and we know what that measures. We know that 20 stitches measures 5 inches. This is from my own swatch. My swatch and your swatch will not have the same measurement. So you have to measure your swatch and count the stitches in your swatch. You write it down. My own swatch, 20 stitches gives me 5 inches. I know that, but I don't know the number of stitches that will give me 25 inches. And that's why I have this equation. So when I solve for this equation, I am going to know the number of stitches I need to have in my project so that I can have my desired measurement of 25 inches. So to solve for this equation, you just need to cross multiply, okay? And I've solved the equation for you, so not to worry. When you cross multiply, this is going to become 20 multiplied by 25 equals 5 multiplied by x. So you have 5x, 20 multiplied by 25 is 500. You divide both sides by 5 to get the value of x. X equals 100. This means that if I want my crochet fabric to be 25 inches, I need to do 100 stitches. Do you follow? What I mean by stitches is double crochet, single crochet, whatever stitch you're working, you would have done your swatch. Let's say you want to do a project with double crochet stitches. You're going to do maybe if you want to do a sweater now with double crochet stitches, right? You're going to get your yarn and a hook. You're going to do a swatch first. So when you are doing that swatch, you can chain 30, then you do row 1, double crochet, row 2, double crochet, row 3. So you do like 7 rows or 10 rows of double crochet, right? That's your swatch. You fasten it off. It's going to have like a rectangular shape. Now that your swatch, you lay it flat on a table and you're going to measure it. Okay, so when you measure it, you count the number of stitches that makes up the measurement, and that's what you're going to write down. And you're going to use that to work this equation by putting in your desired measurements. Okay, so again, this just means that we need to do 100 stitches if I want my fabric to be 25 inches, right? That is what that calculation tells us. Now, you might be wondering why this calculation is important, because again, I know a lot of people don't like maths. But that calculation is important because look at these two hearts. This is a heart I made with my student. So I made the heart on the right, my student made the heart on the left. And these two hearts, they have the same stitch count. Like we use the same pattern. We use the same crochet hook size. We use the same yarn. But you can see that the crochet heart on the right is bigger than the crochet heart on the left. Can you see the difference in the size of the heart? Please type yes or no in the chat. Can you see the difference in the size of the heart? I see some questions and I'm going to take all your questions at the end. You can see the difference. So this is the reason why you must do that calculation. Because I just told my student, I told her, okay, do 100 single crochets, because I had 100 single crochets in my heart. But you can see that when she did her own 100, it was smaller than mine. It's another reason why you cannot just do chain 200, because the pattern said you should chain 200, because it's possible that your own chain 200 will not be the same measurement as the pattern writer's own. Okay, all of us, our crochet stitches have different measurements. If I do 10 double crochets and you do 10 double crochets, it will not measure the same thing. That's why you need to do a swatch and you need to do that calculation so that you know for a fact the number of stitches that will give you your own measurements that you want. Do you understand? I'm going to go back to this calculation. You can see that when I finished my calculation, I have realized that I need 100 stitches for me to have 25 inches. Now, imagine that the pattern I'm following, the person said chain 200, and I also go ahead to chain 200. Obviously, by the time I finish my piece, it will not be 25 inches because I only needed 100 stitches to give me 25 inches. But I went ahead to do 200 just because the pattern said that. So you cannot follow what the pattern said because there are a lot of irregularities in the crochet world. Your stitch counts and my stitch counts will not have the same measurements. Your body and my body, they don't have the same measurements. That's why you need to work out the number of stitches you need for your own measurements. Okay, that's why this calculation is very important, because we have our stitches will measure different things. But when you do that calculation, you are sure, because you measured your own stitch, that you measured your swatch. I mean, you did your swatch yourself, and I don't know, but maybe I should say that somebody cannot help you with your swatch, because like I said, if I help you with your swatch, you're going to get a wrong answer, because my own 10 double crochets will not measure the same thing with your 10 double crochets. If I do the swatch, that means I also need to do the project. Otherwise, you cannot use my swatch. Do you get me? So when you do your swatch, you are measuring your swatch. It means you are measuring your own stitches. And you can now use that, to determine the number of stitches that you would have to get your measurements. Okay, I'm going to take questions at the end, trust me. Now, like I've said, this is the step that most crocheters miss, and it is why they complain that their crochet clothing project ends up being too big or too small. Remember my analogy. When I did my calculation, I realized that I needed to have 100 stitches. Now, again, imagine that I just followed the pattern and I went ahead to do 200 stitches. Obviously, the piece will be too big for me. Do not skip this step, okay? Do not, okay? Just do not, right? Don't say, oh, I wasn't getting it, so I skipped it. The results might be too, like, it just might be too bad for you to handle. Okay, so I just want to know, has anybody here, have you ever followed this step-by-step process when making your crochet piece, like the process I just explained to you now, from step number 1 to step number 5? Have you ever? Okay, Saradatu says no. Oh, Oluwayomi says yes. Abigail says no. I can guarantee you that if you've experienced maybe your crochet clothes being bigger or smaller, it's definitely because you didn't follow these steps. Now, I see some people that say, oh, I've not followed this step and my piece came out right. Let me tell you, it was just luck. It was just luck, and I will personally not want to do hit or miss. And the reason why I don't want to do hit or miss is that crocheting is not something that takes 5 minutes. Like, I cannot stand, like, I have a crochet piece that took me 45 hours to make. I am a very fast crocheter. Now, imagine me that I crochet fast. A piece took me 45 hours. Now, imagine me finishing that piece and it was not the right size. Like, do you know how heartbreaking that would be? I wouldn't frog it. I wouldn't frog it because I don't even have the mind to frog all I've done. Like, okay, I see a question that says, why can't the swatch be the main project? Because the swatch is just a sample piece. The swatch is a small size. I'm going to show you what the swatch looks like real quick. This is a swatch. Can you see this blue thing on the screen? I need you to tell me if you can see this blue crochet thing on the screen by the left side of my screen. Can you see it? This blue fabric on the left of my screen. Do you see it? That's what a swatch looks like. It is very small. This cannot be your project because what do you want to use this for? The only thing this can do is clean your phone. It can only clean your phone. It's not a project. So it's a sample. So you know when you want to buy a fabric and then you go to the market to take a small piece so that you can go and compare the colors, that's almost like what a swatch is. It's just a sample, and it's for you to be able to see, oh, am I going to like this project when I'm done? It's for you to be able to measure your stitches. That's what the swatch is there for. It is not the actual project. And I've explained why you need to do the swatch. You need to do the swatch before you start your actual project because you need to see what it would look like. You need to decide, oh, do I like this stitch? Is this stitch is lacy? Hope the lace is not too open for me. And then you also need a piece that you would measure. You need to be able to measure your own stitches. So it is when you do your swatch that you're going to be able to measure your own stitches. Those are the reasons why you need to do a swatch. Okay. Now, like I've said so many times, you're going to start your project with the stitch counts you arrived at when you did your calculation. When I did my calculation, I arrived at 100 stitches. So even if the pattern is saying chain 200, I wouldn't chain 200. I would chain 100 because that is what I need to get my desired measurements. Okay. Then I also said it's important for you to compare your crochet fabric to your sketch because you want to be sure that the crochet fabric looks like the sketch. You also want to compare measurements. When you crochet, you measure your fabric and you measure your crochet fabric and you check the measurements you've written down in your sketch. You want to be sure that they are the same thing, and if they are not the same thing, you want to start looking out for where you made a mistake so you can fix it. This is not the only way to make a crochet clothing project, but I looked for a way that is beginner friendly, and this is the most beginner friendly way to make a crochet piece. Okay, it is really straightforward. Just follow the step-by-step process that I've written out, and like I've said, this is the same process that I've taught over 700 crocheters. I actually saw some of my students in the chat, and they told me that they follow this process when I asked, and it's so good to see. I've taught over 700 crocheters how to crochet clothes using this process. Would you like me to also hold you by the hand? I mean, I've explained the process to you on this call, and you can definitely go give it a try on your own. But would you like me to also hold your hand while I guide you through this process? So is that something you would like? Yes or no? Would you love for me to personally teach you, like, oh, you're doing it and I'm there guiding you? Yes, yes. Okay. Look at Remy. Like, this is Remy's very first crochet project. Like, I'm so proud, you guys, because my very first crochet project, I had to hide it at the bottom or somewhere. But look at my students' first project. Perfect. I'm such a proud tutor. Anyway, you too can crochet clothes for yourself that will make people go, wow. Let me tell you guys, look at my students, look at me. Whenever we go for a photo shoot, I'm not even kidding. If you know any of these people, go and ask them. People are always staring and they be like, wow, did you make this? Wow, give me your contact. Can I order? People are always going, wow. And that is what I love. Okay. You too can make money by selling crochet clothes to others. I sell crochet clothes to people, and some of my students also do. Again, you can also crochet beautiful clothes for your loved ones. We did not bring this from heaven. There was a time I didn't know how to crochet clothes, so it is something anyone can learn. Look at Remy again. Once you get crochet, you guys, you're meant to be crocheting every single time. You always have projects to work on, okay? I want to introduce to you the Crochet Along 2023. The Crochet Along is a 4 weeks event. Okay, so it starts in November, and throughout November, I'm going to be guiding you through the making of a clothing project following the 5 steps that I've explained in today's video. The Crochet Along is a yearly event, so it only happens once a year, and this is the 3rd edition. We started in 2021, I believe. So yeah, this is the 3rd edition. In the Crochet Along, I'm guiding you through the making of a particular project. So at the end of November, you are going to have a finished crochet piece of your own. You guys, this is the piece we will be making together this year. It's the Barber tunic. There was a voting session. You know, I put out 3 different design options and I told people to vote. It was really tight, but this Barber tunic got majority of the votes, so this is what we're going to be making together. And I'm so excited about this year's Crochet Along because this is lace. This looks like a complicated project, but under my guidance, even if you've never held a crochet hook before, I can guarantee that you'll be able to make this project. And I know that even you will be shocked because, again, this looks like something so complex, but it is something I can teach you how to do. So here are some of the things we're going to be learning in this year's Crochet Along. I'm going to be teaching you how to sketch. I'm going to be teaching you how to take measurements for the piece. I'm going to be teaching you how to read crochet diagrams, how to read written crochet patterns, how to make a swatch with a decorative stitch, how to measure and use a decorative swatch. I'm also going to be showing you the easiest way to change the size of your project so that you can get your desired measurements. Those are just some of the things we would be learning. I said, you might not understand some of those things, you know, maybe because you've not really gotten into the world of crochet so much, so you don't understand some of those things. But what you should know is that at the end of the Crochet Along, you're going to have this tunic made for yourself, okay? And like I've told you, there's crocheting clothes and there's crocheting clothes you can wear. My first crochet clothes, I hid it. Like, you know, when you're crocheting, when I was making my first crochet project, I was posting progress pictures, but upon finishing, I never ever showcased the finished thing because it was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment, but that's not going to be your case. You're going to have a tunic that you'll be so proud to wear and show off, okay, in just 4 weeks. All right. If you would love to join the crochet along, there are 3 different options you can join us with, and I'm going to move to option number 1. In option number 1, okay, this is the build your crochet wardrobe plan. And here you are not only going to be learning how to make the tunic, I'm going to be showing you how to make all 7 crochet projects. Okay, these are 7 different crochet projects that you'll be learning how to make. I'm also going to be providing you with supplies for all of the projects. Okay, then you're going to have one-on-one sessions with me for 6 months. This option is actually just for those in Nigeria, because the supplies are going to be delivered within Nigeria, and the one-on-one support is also physical. So this is for people that always say, oh, I'm not really sure I can learn online, I'll still love to see you in person. This is the option for you. Like, it's build your crochet wardrobe, because you're going to be getting this lovely 7 crochet pieces made for yourself in your wardrobe. And this plan, this option is 300,000 naira. That's $300. And now we move to option 2 for joining the crochet along. In this option, you're going to be able to crochet the Barber tunic, which is the pitch top, and the cut sweater. You know, I said I put out 3 design options. This was the design that came second, the cut sweater. So I'm going to be teaching you how to make the Barber tunic in November. And after November, I would also teach you how to make this cut sweater, because it was the second most popular design. Also, I'm going to be delivering the supplies you need for the crochet along to you if you choose option 2, which is crochet clothes extra. And this option is just 47,000 naira. That is $47. Although I don't think this plan will be suitable for people outside Nigeria, because I don't think it makes sense to deliver supplies from Nigeria outside. It's quite expensive, the shipping. And the very third option is the Crochet Clothes Pro. And I'm saying this Crochet Clothes Pro because you are not starting with a simple project. Like, you are starting with a project that people say, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe this is your first project. You're going to be learning how to make the Barber tunic. And this option is just 28,000 naira. That is $28 to join the crochet along, where you'll be learning how to make the Barber tunic only. Here exactly is what you get. Again, the crochet along is done over a course of 4 weeks. So we are going to start on the 1st of November, and you're going to be making your projects across across November. So I'm releasing videos. We're having live sessions weekly, because I mean, live sessions where I'm catching up with you, you're sharing your challenges, I'm answering them. You're also going to have access to a support group on WhatsApp where you submit your weekly tasks, okay, because you need that motivation, you need that you need the push. So there's going to be weekly tasks that you need to submit, and yeah, you have access to that support group where you can submit your tasks and ask questions. You also have 1 year access to all the videos from the crochet along, so you can always refer back to them. This is my favorite part of the crochet along, you guys. When I release the crochet along options, a lot of people always want to, learn how to make the piece, but I reserve exclusive access for people that join the crochet along. So I'm not going to be releasing the pattern for the Barber tunic until after a year. So it is only people that join the crochet along that will be able to make the Barber tunic, okay? It is until after December 2024, that's when other people will be able to get this pattern from me. So for the next 1 year, it is only you guys I'm going to be teaching how to make the Barber tunic. And honestly, that's my favorite part, okay? I want you to think about this. All the time you've spent crocheting clothes that ended up being completely unwearable, like that's time you can never get back. Also think about all the yarn you've wasted crocheting clothes you couldn't wear. I know some of you will be like, oh, I frogged the piece and I used the yarn to make something else. But me, I think frogging is even so much work. I'm not going to, I don't frog. If I make something and it doesn't turn out right, most of the time I just throw it out or I give it out. Like in the past, that's what I used to do. I didn't have time to frog. Then I want you to also think about the times you see other crocheters and you feel like, God, this person is better than me. They're not better than you, okay? They are not. They just know something that you don't. And this is your opportunity to also learn what it is that they know that you don't. By this time next month, okay, this is 16th of October, by 16th of November, you're going to be knee deep in your own Barber tunic, like working on your Barber tunic under my guidance. I've made so many different crochet clothes, and I've also taught so many people. If you join the crochet along today, or if you enroll today, by this time next month, you would have been working on your own project. You can do a transfer to my account to secure your slots. Registration is going to be closing this week because I need time to deliver the supplies to those that are going to be getting the supplies. Imagine if you could fill up your wardrobe with unique and beautiful crochet clothes that you made. Imagine if you could make crochet clothes that you can sell to other people. Nice. Imagine if you can crochet beautiful pieces for your family and friends. Imagine if you can spend less on buying clothes because you now know how to crochet beautiful and unique clothing for yourself. Every time I have an outing, my first thought is, can I crochet anything for this event? If the answer is no, I go and check my crochet wardrobe. Which of my crochet pieces can I style for this event? And like, that is what I think about before I now think of buying clothes. So I definitely spend less on buying clothes because I know how to make my own clothes. And science has also proven that when you make things with your hands, it gives you a better quality of life. And I agree. My crochet time is my favorite time. And yeah, that is it for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, please leave it in the chat. I'm going to respond to all the questions. Yes, you can make payments now, whether you're on the wait list, whether you're not on the wait list, you can make payments for the crochet along. And when you do, you're going to, I like to give people like a refresher course. Whenever you enroll in my class, you're going to get a refresher course where I'm teaching you the basics of crochet. So you get familiar before the crochet along starts on the 1st of November. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at this time, and I'm going to answer everything. Type in your questions. Okay, how much is the crochet along? I'm going to go there now. There are 3 different plans. Like, there's not one plan. There are 3 different options that you can join from. Okay, so this is option 3, where you're going to be learning how to make the Barber tunic alone. This is 28,000 naira, or $28 if you're outside Nigeria. Then there's option 2, where you're going to be learning how to make the crochet, the Barber tunic, and the cut sweater. That is 47,000 naira, which is $47 if you're outside Nigeria. And for this option 2, I'm also going to be delivering the supplies you need to you. Do you understand? So you're going to be getting the supplies you need to make the Barber tunic. Then when the cut sweater pattern is out, you're going to get access to that. You don't have to pay any other fee for $47. Then this last option, the build your crochet wardrobe, you're going to be learning how to make 7 different crochet projects. You're going to be getting supplies for all the 7 different crochet projects. You are also going to have one-on-one with me, 6 physical sessions. So you're going to be meeting up with me monthly to ask any crochet questions you have, or if you need any crochet guidance. And this is 300,000 naira, or $300. Okay, so those are the 3 different plans. Those are the 3 different prices, from 28,000 to 300,000, depending on what plan you want to join. How do you estimate yarn to be used for a project? I literally just finish one ball. When I use one ball of yarn, and then I see how far one ball of yarn takes me. Let's say my project would have 200 rows. If I use one ball of yarn for 10 rows, it means that I need 20 balls to finish the project. Okay, that's how I estimate the quantity of yarn I will need to use. Yeah, yes, for us on the wait list, do we still make yeah, you can make payments now. I'm just going to go ahead. I still see how much is the crochet along. I've answered that. The price ranges from 300,000 or 47,000, where you learn how to do the Barber tunic, the cut sweater, and you get supplies, or 28,000 naira, where you're going to be learning how to do the Barber tunic alone. And you can pay to my account here.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Once you pay to the account, you're going to have secured your slots. So you can, you're going to be able to start with us in November. But before November, you are going to have access to a basic training where you can catch yourself up on like the basics of crochet. Okay. I joined. Can you give a brief of voice in the beginning? And if there's going to be a replay for this masterclass, just check your mailbox at the end. Okay. Winnie says, so that means those of us outside Nigeria cannot participate. Of course, you can participate, Winnie. Just go for the crochet clothes pro option. This option is suitable for those outside Nigeria. Okay. the Crochet Clothes Pro, because you're going to be learning. Everything is happening online, okay? All the live sessions, everything happens online. I'm going to be teaching online just like this, but you're going to also get videos. You get pre-recorded videos and you get live sessions like this where you can ask questions about your project, okay? So will we still pay the same amount if outside Nigeria? Yeah, the supplies. No, Winnie, there's an option where you are not paying for supplies, and this is the Crochet Clothes Pro, which is just $28. You're just paying for the crochet along for the entire 4 weeks of the event, okay? This is the option for you outside Nigeria. I don't think it makes sense to send supplies outside Nigeria. Please show your account details. Okay, I'm going to go there now. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them. And for the lady that said she missed the beginning, don't worry. The replay of this masterclass will be sent to your emails. I appreciate you joining and staying till the end. I really do. Please note, when you transfer, you're going to have to mail me your proof of payment so that I can enroll you. It was a huge pleasure doing this. Thank you for your patience, especially at the beginning where we had a bit of a delay, but I hope it was worth it. I hope you learned something new. If there are any more questions, you can drop it in. I'm going to end this by 12:30. Thank you to everyone. I'm happy to hear that. Oluwayomi, thank you so much for letting me know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you all in the crochet along. Okay, about this swatch, can I make a swatch when making a hat, the one you displayed on your screen? Yes, it is great for you to make a swatch. If you're making a crochet project that where the fit is important, then you have to make a swatch. If the fit is not important, let's say you are doing a rug or you are doing a blanket, like whatever size it comes out being, you are fine. Then you can skip doing the swatch. But if the size is important, then you need to do the swatch so as to make sure you get the right size, okay? Okay, Amy says I'm a good teacher. That makes me happy. Thank you so much. How many yarns will be needed for the crochet along? You're going to be needing 8 balls of yeye extra if you're in Nigeria. If you're not in Nigeria, you need 800 grams of yarn for the length and my size, okay? So I'll just say between 800 to 1,200 grams, depending on the size you want to make. How do you take measurements for a hat? You literally just need to measure the person's head, the round head and the height of the person's head, okay? Whatever piece you want to make, just measure the part of the body where that piece would be on, okay? If you want to make a hat, you don't need to measure the person's bust because the hat will not stay on the bust. Abigail says, thank you, I actually learned a lot. Please implement. I know that not everyone would be able to join the crochet along, but I can guarantee you that if you implement the 5-step process I taught you today, you're going to see a big difference in your crochet clothes because you'll be able to do clothes that you'll be able to wear, okay? So implement. Thank you, Abiodun. I'm happy you were able to understand everything. Thank you all. If you missed any parts, not to worry, you're going to get a replay after this. Thank you. I think I'm just going to leave now. I appreciate, but what will okay, I don't understand this question from Omalade. Actually joined the 2 months class and can't join the, I don't would like to get it. Omalade, please ask your question again because I don't quite get it. You're welcome, Eniola. I'm so happy you got value. I'm happy. Omalade, probably want to ask your question again. I'm going to go off once it's 12:30. Thank you. I had a very good time. Can I join the normal 2 months class you offer? Of course, if you can't join the crochet along, you can join my other classes, okay? No pressure, no pressure, no pressure. It was a huge pleasure. Thank you, Esther. It was very insightful. I'm happy. Will I still get the full details? My different courses, like I teach different things in my different courses. So as long as you are interested in what I teach in that course, then you're going to be good to go. But for the Barber Tunic, I'm teaching the Barber Tunic in the crochet along only. I'm not teaching how to make the Barber Tunic in any other program. Okay, this Zoom user says, I'm a great tutor. I'm very happy to hear that. The crochet masterclass, how much is it? If you're asking about the crochet along, Oluwayomi, the price of the crochet along ranges from 300,000 to 28,000 naira. I'm going to mail you guys with more details. Okay. I don't, then which masterclass is that? This is the masterclass I was talking about and it is free. So let me know the other class you're talking about. Thank you, Khadija. You're welcome. Very happy to see that it was impactful. Tineke, you joined late, but not to worry. You're going to have access to the replay. If you have any other questions after this live, feel free to send me a mail, okay, so I can answer your questions. I'm going to be leaving once it's 12:30. Thank you all for hanging out with me. It was a huge, huge pleasure. Thank you.